Peace. It's your boy Carlos Parks. Welcome to the Versatile Experience. I'm trying to get some consistency with this, do this more often than I have been doing it, which is complicated by the fact that I am a father and I'm an entrepreneur, which means I work for myself, so I can't create my own hours. But this is something that I definitely need to do more of, right? Seems like I get a lot of attention when we have the negative posts when we're talking about somebody. That ain't what I'm trying to do. I want to build a community, talk about things that empower us. I often use the phrase that I don't hide the map, and I don't remember who I got that. I don't know if I'm the author of that or if I got it from somebody, but I don't hide the map, right? And what that means is basically if I find my way somewhere and I remember the direction I went, I don't hide the map. I let people know this is how I got there, right? You show them turn by turn. This is how I got there, and I do that constantly, right? Always doing that in the community. I just spoke to the halfway house at the halfway house in Greensboro last week, and I've been speaking there now 9 years. So about 9 years, going on 9 years. I've been speaking at that halfway house 2-3 times a year. Just depends on how I feel. I just go down there, and I have a relationship with the organization. So if I go down, what Trey? I have kids, remember? I said, brush your teeth, and get your clothes on. I have your toothbrushes ready. All right. All right. You can do it in whatever order you want to do it in, Trey. Yeah, but you can put your clothes on first if you want to. Go ahead. Yeah, you can go ahead and put your clothes on. All right. So when I go to the halfway house, this is why I go to the halfway house, right? I feel like it's obligatory, right, for me to give back to the community that I left. The community that I left, a lot of those guys still have to go through what I went through, right? So if I can help them by telling them what I went through, why not? Some people don't see it that way. You have a lot of people who have a slave mentality where they're constantly competing and it's not a competition. And I welcome anybody to call in. If you want to call in, call my phone. I would love to have someone come in and join the conversation, right? Add on if you want. Just call my phone. The phone number is scrolling across the bottom, right? I don't have to be the only one talking. I'm just motivated to get started. It's Monday. I don't care if it's Labor Day and people not working. I understand that people who aren't working, how you feel like, okay, I got an extra day. That's cool. With me, I don't like days off. I want to work every day. So if somebody asks me, and that's because I work for myself, right? It's my company. So I have to make sure that I go the extra mile to get business over these larger franchises. And I'm not gonna say any of the names. I've worked at a few of them though. But when you're in business for yourself, you have to go above and beyond, right? You have to do things that your competitors aren't. You got to keep your eye on what your competitors are doing. And I understand this conversation isn't going to be interesting to a lot of people, right? Because a lot of people aren't business owners. But if you're thinking about at some point going into business for yourself, right? And I mean seriously going into business for yourself. I'm not talking about working a 9 to 5 and then having a side hustle. That's not being in business. Being in business is when you do that and that alone, right? That's how you eat. That's being in business. That's being an entrepreneur. Like you can have side hustles and side gigs and all of that, right? That's cool. But when you go and be like, man, my side hustle is going to be my primary hustle from now on, that's a different monster right there. It takes a different level of commitment, different level of bravery, right? You gotta be really sure in yourself. You have to be confident in your abilities. It's like sink or swim. It's sink or swim. When I decided to launch my own brokerage, man, it was a it wasn't scary for me. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't scary. I can understand how it'd be scary for some people. It wasn't scary for me. You know, it wasn't. I mean, I trust me. You good? Come here. You straight. You straight. Yeah, I trust me. I trust anything I do. Right. I always bet on me. I always bet on me. I'm always bet on me. Anybody who knows me knows, man, you don't bet against me, man. Don't bet against me. You're gonna lose. I'm gonna make sure you lose if you bet against me. Right. I've told this story a lot. And one thing about it, man, anything I say can be vetted, man, for factuality, because it has to be somebody to confirm or deny what you're saying, right? And when I talk about my time away, when I was, on the other side of freedom, right? There are people who are there with me, who can confirm what I say. They'll tell you, there are guys who can say, "Oh man, he welling, man, Carlos lying, he wasn't doing that." Now, if I tell you that's what I'm doing, it's because I know, there are people who could, who will hold me accountable. Like social media, you can't just go around lying on social media and thinking it's not going to come back and bite you in the butt. Nah, so everything I say is going to be confirmed, man. Like I was when I was in the trenches, I wasn't out the way. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't out the way, man. I was in the mix. So the position I held, man, it was a very, it was dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Because whenever you're the leader of anything, right? You'll be the first one that's under attack by an opposing set, right? So if you like over your car and your car gets into it with somebody else, or let's say, let me use words that are understandable by everybody, right? If you're over a group of individuals and your group of individuals is having a conflict with another group of individuals, the biggest target out of your group is you. You know what I'm saying? Like if they can get you, man, that's a hell of a trophy, right? So in the situation where I was at, our position was another race, and that made me a big target for that other race. So whenever, like when I was in situations where I couldn't step off alone, if I stepped off alone, I'm vulnerable. This is a prospect. Tyson, what's going on?
Man, you doing all right?
Yes, sir. I'm on a live video, but I can talk briefly. What's up?
Oh man, just hit me back after your live video, man.
All right, sounds good. I'll call you right back.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
All right, no doubt. All right.
All right. Later.
Yeah. So and being in that position in there, right, what we call shot caller, or you know, that primarily that's the word they term it, right? Yeah, who's the old speaker, right? Shot caller or speaker. You're in a position of kind of like of authority, right? But you're also responsible for a lot of people, and I took that seriously. Anything I say can be responsible for somebody making it home and not making it home, and you're constantly solving problems, right? You're constantly putting out fires in that position. So throughout my time away, I was constantly putting out fires. Like I was always putting out fires, always trying to resolve an issue between this person and that person. And, I was always like the liaison when it came to officers dealing with certain inmates. Like I didn't like to see officers taking advantage or disrespecting my comrades. So I always stepped up, right? Like if I saw a situation where there was a verbal disagreement between an officer and an inmate, I would step in and be like, nah, this is what he's trying to say. And I would take over the discussion and then explaining it to the officer, right? So at that point, I became sort of like an advocate, because I was versed in the officer's code of conduct, right? And now, I was a very confident communicator, so I would always step up. So when I was stepping up, now people see me step up, and now they come to me first. Man, Cap, can you come over here and holler at this dude for me, man? Because he ain't got no understanding. So that was my role. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my role on I don't care what institution I was at, right? I was always helping dudes, and I was filing BP9s for them. That's a complaint, administrative complaint. crazy. I remember that, right? But I was filing their BP9s and go from a BP9 to a BP10, BP11, file all the way to the region. I was doing all of that. I wasn't a legal beagle. I wasn't doing the legal work, but I was doing work dealing with the administration. You know what I'm saying? So again, putting out fires, right? Solving problems. Fast forward to now, same thing I'm doing on in my business. It's constantly like in every transaction. If you know a real estate agent, they will confirm this, right? And that seems like in every transaction, no, not every, in a lot of transactions, you're gonna run into problems. You're gonna run into problems. And when you run into these problems, if it's not a problem that you faced already, which a lot of times there are situations that you've dealt with before, but if they aren't situations you dealt with before, you have to use critical thinking, right? Okay, what can we do? What they don't, I do, right? This is how I think. I'm thinking there's always an answer. There's always a way around it. There has to be a fix. There has to be a workaround. There has to be a way we can expedite this, right? So, oh, you know what? I forgot all about. We have a 10 o'clock call in the mornings. I forgot about the 10 o'clock call, man. Monday morning calls. We get together and we discuss business and finances and things like that, right? It's like a mastermind Monday morning mastermind call we have, and I forgot about it today. It was at 10 o'clock. But so anyway, talking about it now. You know, I missed it today. I talk about it now. So what I want to do is I want to collectively come together and have mastermind meetings online, right, live, right, where people share their successes and their losses, their failures, how business worked for them and how their businesses failed, right? Like for me, I'm transparent. My trucking company didn't do well at all. I started a trucking company in 2020 during middle of COVID, right? Might have been 21, but it was versatile logistics, right? And I eventually had to just dissolve the company, right? Because truck was garbage. The truck didn't do well. The drivers were garbage, right? So the Amazon contracts were trash. Like Amazon is, well, I didn't like Amazon, their pay rate. The people who were really making money off of that were the people who were using the low board, right? But I learned, okay, business failed, but I learned a lot about the trucking industry. You know what I'm saying? On different sides, or insuring, what is it? Having your own authority, and I learned about all of that. I have my own authority, so now I know through trial and error that when you're establishing your authority, it takes a minute before you start getting loads because you haven't had your authority long enough. So therefore, these distributors don't trust you. You have to have your authority for a certain amount of time in order to build trust in the community. And then they start to trust you because they see you have a record of, delivering on time or not, right? So they need that type of data in order to establish you as a reliable reliable transporter. That's business, right? That's business. You have to have a track record. You have to have a track record. That's what a credit report is. A credit report is your track record of paying back money that you borrowed. That's all it is. So credit, like if you get something on the arm, like people, they keep record of how well you pay back what you borrow. And a person who doesn't have credit is someone who's probably been operating primarily with cash, using cash, or it's hard to establish a line of credit. Credit history if you've never borrowed money, right? So, okay, let me go ahead and start making some recommendations this morning because a lot of people who want to know Carlos, what does it take to buy a home? So what it takes is you got to have a 640 or better credit score primarily, right? In some cases, they'll let you in with less than that, right? But most cases, you need a 640 or better credit score. You have some people who will lend as far as, sub fives, definitely sub sixes, but you talking about five anything is low, right? So they want a 640 or better. 640 is a decent credit score. It shows that you pay back your money. The credit score, they use the algorithm, and based on your credit score and your DTI, it determines your availability to maintain a mortgage without defaulting. Defaulting means going into foreclosure, losing the property, losing all that equity you've put into the property, right? Which is one of the things I'm doing this morning. I'm going to be calling distressed properties and try to save some people who are about to get foreclosed on. See if I can save them out of these foreclosures, right? So that I can list the home. walk away with something. But anyway, you need a 640 better credit score, and you need 2 years of job history, 2 years of filing taxes on one job. So that job history is important because this tells them that you're consistent, right? This tells them that you know how some people just be bouncing all over the place. That's inconsistency. Creditors they don't like to deal with that. Well, financiers, right? They don't trust you, like because you're too iffy. You're too iffy. You're all over the place. So they come here, baby girl. They want you to establish a history at one location. So they look for it. Move. Let me show them that shirt. What we repping today? Tar Heels. All right, baby girl. All right. So show them that purse, baby girl. Show them that purse. What's on that purse? What's on that purse? Tar Heels. Yeah, my baby matches. My baby matches. My baby know how to match. Ain't that right, Munchkin?
Yes.
All right. All right, well, you know what shoes you wearing? Them white shoes.
Grandma gave you this bag.
Yep, Grandma gave you that. Yep, that Tar Heel stuff. You know, my mother is a Tar Heel to the tombs, to the casket drop. Been a Tar Heel from forever. I was born a Tar Heel because my mother was a Tar Heel fan. My children were born Tar Heels. Their children will be born Tar Heel. Like it's a family thing for us. But yeah, so you want to have that 2 years of job history. Now, this is one of the things. If you don't have 2 years on the same job, if 2 years in the same field is just as acceptable, it's the same thing. So if you worked at a warehouse for a year, right, and then you transfer to another warehouse, right, you're still working warehouse. They'll count it, right, because it's still the same field. You just went to a different company. You're doing the same thing. You just found a better opportunity somewhere else. So if your job change is in the same field, it can be counted as long as you file taxes, right? So these are the two things. These are the two primary things it takes to get pre-qualified for a loan. Then there's your DTI. So the DTI determines how much of a loan you can get, right? And the DTI is debt to income. Your debt to your income. So if you make $5,000 a month and then you pay $2,000 a month in debt, right? In bills and stuff like that, that'll leave you a difference of 3,000, right? That 3,000. Up there 3,000, I think they say probably 25% will have to go towards your food and shit like that, right? So 75% of that $3,000 surplus is how much you can afford in a mortgage. So that however much you can afford in a mortgage is going to determine how much your pre-approval will be. That's how they work it. That's how they calculate it, right? And then, of course, you need to have some money, right? Because to close, they have what they call closing costs. It costs money to close on a property, right? And depending on who you're banking with or who your lender is going to determine how much you got, because they have all these lender fees associated with it. You have lender fees and you have attorney fees, right? So the closing costs are going to be different um, based on your situation. Like everybody's closing, but they will let you know based on TILA, the Truth in Lending Act, right? They have to let you know everything that they're charging you for, right? And how much ahead of time. Like they can't just throw some numbers on you late. Nah, TILA protects you from that. Um, and other than that, I think that's about it, man. You want to have cash reserves, right? That cash reserves is what you'll be using to pay your closing costs with. So sometimes people pull from their 401k. Sometimes they just have cash available. But however you get that money, the lender is going to want access to um, your banking records. They want to see how much money you got in your account. They don't want to see any major transactions that take place while you're applying for a loan. So it's a lot that you have to be aware of when going in, when becoming a homeowner. And now that's on the home purchasing side. It might be 3.5% interest rate. Nah, I'm sorry. Never that, right? Interest rates vary. The interest rates right now are around 6.75 or something like that, right? But if you're a VA, you don't have any closing costs, or so they don't charge you any what is it, down payment. The VA, you don't have to make a down payment on the property if you got a VA loan. and down payments are covered sometimes by different lenders. They might pay $5,000 towards your down payment or closing costs. Some lenders, like let's say if you buy a property at a new construction, like this is something right. A lot of people want to have a house that was just built from the ground up. Nobody ever used your tub. Nobody ever, just you the first person to do this. A lot of people, they value that. So these new constructions right now are less than older homes. You can buy a new construction right now for less than what you would pay for an older home of the same type. Not just that, there are bonuses that go along with buying new constructions. New constructions often have their own lenders, right? That they partner with, and that lender might give you, a nice little $7,000 towards your closing costs if you use them. So it's all types of incentive for purchasing a new home. The downside to these newer homes, I think, is these HOA communities are a little stricter than the older HOA communities. The homes are a little closer together. If you can find one where the homes where you can't dap up your neighbor from your front porch or while he's sitting on his porch, if you can find something like that, those newer homes are cool, right? Another bad thing is that sometimes the contractors that they use will cut corners. And a case where that happened with us when we sold our house in Brown Summit, the inspection was done by the buyers and they found something in the light fixture. They never put a can in the light fixture. They just hung the light fixture up there without having this, we call it a can that goes into the thing. But yeah, they cut corners on us, right? And then sometimes they it's like they messed up the square footage on one house that I sold for a lady. We found out that the house was 200 square feet less than what it was sold to her for. But she had been there 10 years, so it was nothing she could do. She basically, I think it was Dan Ryan Builders or one of those major builders in this area. She was beat. They sold her a house. It was supposed to be 1,700 square feet. It was 1,500. Whatever's like 200 something square feet difference. But that's some of the things you go through with those newer communities. But that's enough for today, man. I just wanted to come on here and talk about some positive stuff as opposed to always talking about negative. Like there will be less views for this one. Negative is what attracts people and say, but the people who see this and who watch this are the people who supposed to see it and watch it. And it's Monday, so I like to motivate people on Mondays. I know it's Labor Day and a lot of y'all are not working. So tomorrow will be the beginning of your work week. I say this, right? Don't always seek to be in a position of working for someone, right? And some people, that's just going to always be your reality. You don't have that ambition. But if you're ambitious and you've always, you get tired of working for people and you have goals and you have something like a skill set or a hobby that could possibly finance your future, like they say, if you enjoy what you do from work, you never work a day in your life. So find something that, like, if you cook well, you might be missing your chance as owning a restaurant, right? There's a lot of things. But if you're seeking any other financial advice, even though I'm not a financial consultant, I am a businessman. So you can contact me at the number that you see scrolling across the bottom or the email address. And don't listen to everything you see on social media. Always do the knowledge of everything, right? Don't accept anything on face value. Research it for yourself. And with that, I say peace.